Hi cuties, it's Lips. I have a very specific message here. If any of this makes sense to you, this is for you. If not, move on. It's not for you. Don't make something try and work if it doesn't make sense for you. I'm getting this energy of a relationship, whether this is romantic or something to do with business, like a boss, a co-worker, something like that. But there's been something very imbalanced here. And I think first and foremost, it's really important to ask the question, what is this teaching me? Because nothing can take power away from you unless you allow it to take power from you. So it's more important to ask, why am I struggling with this relationship? Why am I struggling with this dynamic? This is really important because your inner child is coming through very strong. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're somebody who's had a tough childhood, one where you've had to survive. You've been like a survivor. You've had to defend yourself. You've had to fight for yourself. But it's often, there's often been times where you've had to rely on other people, relationships, things to get you through, to make you feel valid, to make you feel justified. And the biggest energy here is this message of like, no more codependency. This isn't like a maybe thing. It's done. Closing out this cycle means no more codependency. And we're often left alone in the times where we need help the most, because when we eventually make it out the other side, even if it's a 1-year cycle, a 5-year cycle, a 10-year cycle, we recognize that we're able to navigate that situation on our own. And this is something that you're going through. You're being asked to be aware of relationships or projects, if this is to do with work, that seem like a deal but have a fine print. If you're not going to be honored correctly, even though this entity needs you, then you're supposed to walk away. I did a pre-channel to all of this and I got the 8 of Cups like 3 times. So you've already chosen to walk away from this thing, but you're not feeling that resilience at this time. You're not feeling the strength in that decision, and it's being justified. You are actually making the right moves, and this message is to support you through this transition. Money has been coming through a lot. This person is losing money. So I don't know if there was like some sort of like money battle here, something to do with an inheritance, money that you were owed, something like that. But something that was coming through very clear was that they are losing this abundance that is actually yours. We've got delayed success here, incomplete, stagnation, and failed attempt. You're coming through as a fire sign energy, a King of Wands. So you might have fire in your chart. Otherwise, you're somebody who's optimistic, a natural leader, very motivated, and super happy to take on a challenge. But the dark side of these traits is obsession, perfectionism. Okay, like I was literally like, I could not start this reading. I was just sitting here for ages, like trying to figure out why I couldn't begin. And you might be somebody who really needs that like perfectionist energy to be able to move forward. You might feel unsafe to show up as your authentic self in any situation because you've been taught in the past that that's not safe. This energy coming through is extremely selfish. We have the Queen of Cups in reverse here. Someone who saw the light in you and was resentful for that, and almost like took what they could from your light and from your abilities, and then somehow blamed you for it and walked away. Okay, but something else I was getting, I'm trying to find out what I wrote down, because it's coming through again with the Five of Pentacles here. It's almost like this person can be super negative in front of you and kind of deflect responsibility onto you in a way. Like they probably came to you for advice in certain situations. They asked for help. But then around other people, you know, they were like super happy-go-lucky, super down to like be bright and energetic. I'm getting energy siphoning here as well. We have the Nine of Swords and the Four of Swords here. Both of these cards are to do with resting, right? So one of you is resting. One of you has decided to relax, take some time out, recalibrate, regenerate. And the other is extremely like fearful, having insomnia. I'm hearing guilty, so I'm going to assume it's the other person, because what's coming through is that this person is recognizing what you were able to provide in this different type of way. I think this person probably felt as though they were owed a lot from you, because you showed up as somebody who was willing to hold that energy. You had a lot of strength, but you weren't able to express that through confidence. You know, you might have been somebody who was just kind without asking for that recognition or that mutual support. And my throat's starting to go croaky here, so I feel as though you were probably just happy to have somebody around to feel safe, but it was at the detriment of your truth and your voice. But not for very long, or you're already in this energy now, the Queen of Swords. Somebody who is extremely direct without the fear of miscommunication, because, you know, it's not your responsibility to ensure that you are delivering truth on a silver platter. It's not your responsibility to make sure that you're not offending somebody for your light and your gifts. Because when you're in this energy with the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, I feel as though you can't focus. And actually, yeah, here we have perfectionism as well. So you're so good at being the carer, you're so good at taking care of business, and it's become a part of your identity that you're willing to push it all aside for other people. And it's not a bad thing, but it's bad when it's with the wrong people, right? We have the Seven of Swords here. Somebody who may have stolen from you. This could be to do, like, the money thing's coming through again. Someone may have taken money from you. Otherwise, they were just relying on you heavy. Heavy, heavy. And what I'm getting with you is that whilst they are only now starting to recognize the truth of this situation because you've walked away. They are recognizing, you are recognizing that there's an issue here because you're still stuck on this situation. Something else that was coming through is if you're going to share your energy with somebody else, you deserve to be honored correctly and not manipulated. If you prefer to accept scraps rather than be alone, this is fine, but it needs to be witnessed. Your inner child is asking for this to be witnessed. What cycles have you been a part of that involved an abuse of power, that involved scamming? I'm getting as well. But I feel the heaviness of this information because it's not like you're not aware of all of this. It's just that I feel like you need a reminder that you are actually leading this situation. So when somebody's more advanced emotionally, spiritually, you know, and this isn't to say that like you're better than people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you're actually running the relationship, you might not think that you're running the relationship, but you are. You can end up being taken advantage of. So what I mean by this is like somebody might, you know, act as though they have the upper hand. They might feel as though they can take you for a ride, take advantage of you, waste your time, and then come back whenever they want. But they know it's because you have this like open childlike essence and you're willing to be patient, hear people out, understand like what they've been through. Like this might be somebody who's like trauma dumped on you. This could even be like a boss, right? That's trauma dumped on you. Somebody who has like relied on your advice in like this very like low-key way. Just like kind of waiting for you to say something, right? Like I've had bosses in the past that have been like, have crossed that professional boundary when I was very young and spoken to me about like their personal lives, about like, you know, issues, blah, blah, blah. And like, because I am like, there's this like power imbalance, I feel as though like I have to show up and like be emotionally like supportive to them, but obviously also in relationships, and that's something that like a lot of us experience. But you know, the thing that we're relying on them from is validation, because we have been taken advantage of so many times. We need that validation. We need to see that our support is worthwhile, that we actually are offering something to people, because so many times in the past it's been discounted, discredited, or stolen. And with that, I'm getting like, you know, there might be people in your life who copy you in a lot of ways. Wow. Still your essence, destiny swap, but then you don't have the inner confidence or the inner strength to acknowledge that like you have all of this too and more, and that you're actually the inspiration behind this confidence and these ideas. Like, you're happy to, like, one of the main cards I got was teach. You're happy to share your knowledge. You're not a gatekeeper. You're ready to, like, share with others, to build other people up. And yet you don't expect the same from other people. But it's about time that you get the recognition that you deserve. And so it's time to look away. And what I want to say, like, obviously use your own discernment. Every single person is different, and I don't want to push into situations that I don't know about, but what I feel is that this relationship is done. And it's time to walk away. Because what I'm seeing is blocked is inner power, inner abundance, like that, you know, is going to come out in the physical. Stuck in the same cycles again and again, which is just not necessary here. And also a block to your abundance. Again, this money thing's coming through, and I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe there'll be more information soon. But the good news, if this is to do with love, there is a new, if you walk away from this, there is a new crush or a new love interest coming through. This was like super clear. This came through like 3 times. And I didn't get that with like, if this is to do with like business or like work, but I'm assuming it would be the same. Yeah, absolutely. We have the Page of Cups here. So somebody coming through who looks up to you and your abilities and your skills. And this is really like, what do we have here? No way. Yeah. Again, we have the Four of Swords coming through. We have the Ace of Wands coming through. This actually came through at the beginning of, like, before I started filming. But the Ten of Summer here, an emotionally fulfilling life with family or friends, people you can trust. And that's what I was going to say before I started shuffling, is like, speaking from personal experience, when I finally like learned the lesson and I was able to cut certain people out of my life, even when I was so dependent on them, even when I was in like extreme survival mode and I needed support, when I was able to walk away and trust that I was able to navigate the situation for myself, finally the right relationship came through for me. And what I'm getting with that is like a relationship where you're not constantly like, it's like there's not like a power imbalance. Like, you are both balanced. You both respect and acknowledge each other. Your voice is valued and heard. It's going to be so relieving for you when you recognize that you weren't the problem and you're actually the solution, and you have been the solution in so many people's lives. There have been so many times where you have guided people out of distress, out of fear. You have been the person that's kind of like shone the light, right? Like, you've been able to show people what they bring to certain situations. But when it came to yourself, because there was this disconnect between, there was this disconnect in your childhood. Like, I really get that you were somebody who wasn't validated in their childhood, and there was probably a lot of self-hatred there, a lot of loneliness. And so that wound is still there. And so there's a part of you that's in your heart that needs that reassurance that you are helpful, that you are needed. And like, no shame here, because so many of us are like this, especially healers. I am super like this. And I don't think that like inner child work should be taken it's not it should be taken seriously. It's not easy, and it's a lifelong journey, but actually being able to get to the space where you're able to uncover the parts of you that are stuck, that are broken, that are hurt, that takes extreme vulnerability and strength. And people that are able to actually go back in time and feel that pain, that loneliness, that frustration, and those things that the past versions of you weren't able to handle or hold, to the point where there were so many fragments of you that you had to cling on for dear life onto certain situations, people, relationships, authority figures. Like, also what's been coming through is like addiction. It doesn't make you weak for being that kind of person. You actually, that's a method of survival. You've made it to this point where you're finally able to set yourself free. And that was all necessary. And so again, like, now I'm kind of getting like those people are almost like a reflection of a past version of you, who are now relying on you for that support when they're hurt. And you might feel like this, like you might have this awareness that this person isn't inherently evil or bad or wrong. And that makes it so much harder to walk away, because you understand and you feel and you resonate because you've been there with their behaviors and their actions. But it doesn't mean that you need to carry them through that journey, because at the end of the day, did anyone else do that for you? No. You carried yourself to the finish line, because when you were left alone, you had to be resourceful and really face yourself, face your shadows, and come to terms with who you were and what had actually happened to you on your own, probably without therapy, without resources, I'm getting as well. And so whilst you're able to understand where this person is and where they're coming from, even if they don't see that, like I'm getting like they don't understand that you've been through this and that you actually have such a great grasp on this situation. And that's super frustrating, but it's like you're almost not even trying to explain it, because it's just this inner wisdom, and inner wisdom doesn't have to be explained. It doesn't have to, it's not worth it, because no one is going to understand you the way that you understand yourself. And it's almost like this silent like defiance that's coming through. This again, like I've just realized the King of Pentacles is on the top of the deck here. Like there's something to do with money here. This could be settlements, divorces, contracts with work situations, business partnerships. Can I get one more clarification on the money? We got two. Wow, we got the Emperor and Justice in reverse. There's something that's imbalanced here with Justice in reversed. It's like you're owed something, whether this is energetic or physical, whether this is like to do with money. What else am I hearing? Just like stability. You've been leaning, and what this is teaching you is learning how to lean more into your logical side and your structured side. You might be somebody who is super intuitive and psychic, and you might just go with the flow and rely on the energy of the day to guide you forward. But at this time, because you've been put in this situation, you might be feeling like you know, you need to, I'm seeing the Hierophant in my mind's eye. You might feel like you need to get more structured at this time, and that might be super challenging for you. And it also might be a soft spot for you. You might feel resistance with that because you're not used to doing that. Also, I forgot to mention that I was really getting like creative energy here. You might be an artist. I was also getting California Girls by Katy Perry and Snoop Dogg in my head. Like that was like being channeled super heavy. You might, something to do with California, you might be resident. You might be a resident of California. I was also getting, what was the other song I was getting? Do you remember what song I was getting? I'm at my little sister's, in my little sister's room right now. Oh, it was Signs by Justin Timberlake. Are you telling me this is a sign? Nothing. Boy, leave her alone. Boy, leave her alone. 'Cause it's time to shine. The cycle's done, and you can't be pulling people with you that aren't ready. People aren't ready. Certain people aren't ready to come with you. You've been a guiding light. You've been supportive, and yet somehow you're here right now and you're feeling like you're not good enough. Again, this like, take yourself more seriously. Why do we give others permission to be blank but not ourselves? This is coming through again. This is your time, bitch. I'm mad. This is your time, and yet you feel like you have to bring every single person along with you, and you don't. You just don't. Okay? It's been blocking your intuition, okay? Because I don't feel like these people understand your gifts, your abilities that aren't in the physical. Like, that aren't, you can't explain them. You just are them, okay? Only a high priestess can see a high priestess, okay? Again, we have a new thing coming through. So when you close this thing out, when you block this thing, when you say, I see where you're coming from and I get you and I feel you and whatever, but like, I have to focus on myself, my dreams, my aspirations, and I can't be dragging you along with me and trying to explain to you every step that I'm taking when you're still going to either one, copy me and pretend like it's yours, and then gaslight me into thinking that like I don't know what I'm talking about, or two, you're going to try and pull me back and make me question my gifts and my abilities, or three, you're going to try and isolate me, make me dependent on you. Like, this is because your energy is important, okay? People don't do this with people who's like have nothing to offer, okay? Because there's no point in that. If you feel like you have to go to the ends of the earth to be heard, understood, or recognized, it's not for you. Plan your next steps with an eye to the long term. Have patience. There are more good things to come. Okay. I'm gonna close out here with a card from my Oracle deck, the My World Oracle, which will be out soon. I feel like I haven't really focused on the new thing that's coming through. I guess it just like wasn't the right time. But there is a new relationship coming through. So this had to do with love. When you walk away from this thing for good, for real, this new love interest is going to come through. If this has to do with work, if you feel like you need to stay because you're not sure of what's next, there is validation here that something new will be coming in when you're able to when you're able to actually have a say, and walk away because you know that because you're so confident in like protecting your peace, even to the detriment of others. It has nothing to do with you. If people want to be hurt because you're trying to keep your divine essence, look what we have, walk away. We literally have walk away. That's so crazy. And we have patience, which just came through in the other card. What do we have on the back? I want to play now. You're ready for fun. Like, you're tired of this seriousness. Like, you're tired of this energy of like trying to explain yourself, trying to like justify yourself when you're literally the high priestess and the empress. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know how we get into these cycles of feeling like we have to justify ourselves to people that literally make no sense to us. But we just like... Anyway, okay, I'm going to read Walk Away and then close this out. And like, I just want to say, like, throughout this reading, I've become more like confident. Like, at the beginning, I just felt very like stuck and like I couldn't begin. And I'm finally getting to this point where I'm feeling like this confidence, this reassurance. So I hope it's resonating. So with Walk Away, we have this card offers you loving permission to celebrate what you've outgrown. We often cling not because something feels right, but because it's hard to admit it no longer matches who we've become. We fear being seen as unreliable or impulsive, but the greatest risk isn't in what others think of us, it's in what we sacrifice within ourselves. Society teaches that persistence equals worth, that quitting means failure, but this isn't truth. You owe nothing to a past self who couldn't see as far ahead as you do now. When you trust that every moment is divinely aligned, that energy and joy are sacred confirmation, you realize you cannot make a mistake. Continuing on a path you've outgrown isn't commitment, it's stagnation in disguise. And for what? To keep others comfortable with a version of you that no longer exists. Maybe you've fought long and hard to make something work, a relationship, a role, a dream, but that effort is never wasted. Every chapter is a puzzle piece in your divine architecture. You don't need to hold the door open for a past self who once loved what was inside. You've outgrown it. The door will always exist and you'll always carry the key, but if you choose to close it, you create room for something more aligned to enter. Changing course isn't instability, it's listening. Our personal visions exist in a web of other people's truths. The goal isn't rejection or argument, but discernment, gathering information, testing it through your own wisdom, and staying rooted in what's real for you. Of course, you'll meet those who try and humble you and call it guidance. This is so legit right now, but you're learning to tell the difference between projection and genuine care. There's no rush. You might seem to lose in the short run, but never in the long run. How could you if you keep evolving and refuse to set your truth in stone? When you realize the illusion of time as a linear rule of value, you remember there is no such thing as too late or too far gone. Time isn't something you can waste, it's always now, and your alignment now is more sacred than any plan built from fear. Instability doesn't mean weakness. Changing course, even when the route is murky, is a radical act of self-devotion. You're allowed to walk away. When did endurance become a badge of honor for pain? Let others talk, let them wonder. You don't need their permission, only your own. And the affirmation is, I don't owe forever to what I once wanted. I change when and how I choose to. And that's tea. That's done. I hope it resonated. Let me know if it made sense. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.